Alright, guys. How's it going? This is Car and Driver for DOS. It came out in '92. The ultimate fantasy driving game. Test drive 10 of the best. Oh boy, we know this one's gonna be fun. Yeah, this game's really weird. The game is laid out like the pages of a Car and Driver magazine. There's 10 tracks. This category is all tracks. So, we start when I first gain control of my car, and that is after the 3-second countdown. So I guess countdown 3 seconds from right now. So 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so this game came out in '92. It's apparently someone hit me, and that car's exploding, and its polygons are flying down the track. Okay. That's, okay. Let's just not question that. This is when games on DOS were really trying hard to do the whole 3D thing, and, yeah, this game's pretty adorable. I mean, it's trying really hard, but the technology just really is not there for this kind of game at this point in the PC's development lifespan. So as a result, a racing game with elevation changes with non-smooth polygons for a track will randomly send you flying. And if you couldn't tell, this first track is a facsimile of Laguna Seca. And yeah, this is a track I usually start out with if I'm actually doing a run, because it's the most likely to just throw you in a completely random direction and throw you off track and end your run. So there's 10 tracks in the game, but only 9 of them will actually record your time. Also, the controls in this game are absolutely terrible. So, okay, we're off the road. So, luckily they knew that you'd be doing that often, so there's a button to get back on the road. And yeah, the scaling of Laguna Seca is pretty reasonable, except that I just did a totally wayward lap of it in a Porsche 959 in about a minute and 30 seconds. And unlike most of these games, when you, let's take the Ferrari F40. When you finish a race, or a lap, I guess, it immediately just sends you to a replay and ends the lap. You can't just keep going round and round and round. Oh, there's more cars going crazy. This track is super weird. It's called Dobbs Raceway, and it's adorned with, like, all of these weird posters of Bob Dobbs, who's, like, the figurehead of the Church of Subgenius, which is a parody religion. I have no idea how this got past testing. It's very bizarre. Also, every car sounds exactly the same, so... Woo. Fun. This game was developed by Looking Glass Studios, which you may recognize from Ultima Underworld, System Shock 2, or the Thief series of games. Unfortunately, the team that made this game has almost nothing to do with any of those games because the company was jumbled so much. So this is the San Dimas Mall parking lot. It's the only track that doesn't record time, so we're not actually going to drive on that one, unfortunately. But let's take out the Ferrari 250 Testarossa. Oh yeah, look at those graphics. Just like the real thing. Also, even though this is called EA Speedway, it doesn't have anything to do with Electronic Arts as far as I know. And that is a hammer and sickle on the side, and that's a Hind D helicopter that's flying above us. Don't ask me why. Nothing in this game makes sense. And like I said, it's not a real racing game. The cars that you see driving around are just ghosts of my best laps. And although you can hit them, they are totally on rails, so there's nothing you can do to, like, crash into them and stuff like that. This really is more of a driving simulator than a racing game. It's designed to, like, give you some really fancy, expensive cars, put you on famous roads and raceways. Well, there is really only one raceway that's a real racetrack. The other ones are just made up. But, I mean, you still get the experience of it. And you're just pounding around. You can see front skid, rear skid for when you're sliding out. The game does not give you a very good sense of depth or motion, so they had to include those because otherwise you'd just be completely lost as to what's happening. Yeah, there is an old EA logo, which is weird because, like, they I don't even think they published this game, which is bizarre. So next up is the Oval Speedway, and we're also going to take out the fastest car in the game, which is the Mercedes C11 IMSA. 1,000 horses in a small sweaty box. Don't try to take that out of context. It won't do you any good. And this track really shows that this game has absolutely no regard for physics in any way. If you know anything about angular momentum or NASCAR racing, you'll know that an oval track is usually banked, and the reason for that is because centripetal force will cause the car to move outward when you try to do a turn, like a left-handed turn here. Oh, apparently someone just crashed into me. The reason why you have the bank there is because you want to have some of that force be pushed into the ground or into that banked slope so you can corner faster. But in this game, you actually slow down if you go up on the bank because the game counts you as going uphill. So contrary to every law of physics known to man, the fastest way to go around this oval is to stay on the inside as much as possible and pull a 7G turn at 250 miles an hour. Your eyeballs would probably be going out the side of your head if you tried this. But, hey, we gotta go fast. It's the fastest way to, go around this track, at least. And yeah, the cockpits of the cars make no sense at all. There's really, like, no logic to any of this game. We're gonna use the same car, and we're gonna take it to the drag strip. Oh boy, manual transmission set. I forgot. Okay, it's A and Z. Oh, we got disqualified because we jumped the start. This is literally just a drag strip. There's nothing else going on here. Apparently I'm losing to that car on the left. It's shaking around. This game is not really smooth. In any sense of the word. Alright, New York Highway 97. So instead of just having tracks for you to go around, this game also has just regular city roads. You know, famous driving roads, I guess you would call them. So let's take out the Shelby Cobra. It seems appropriate. And, you're allowed to drive like a 1 mile stretch of New York Highway 97, which I guess is a famous driving road. Oh, we're at 45-degree angle, no problem. The car pretty much can't roll no matter what. This game also has some really crazy tech going on. There is... Oh, that's not good. Okay, that guy got destroyed. And we're fine, apparently. If you try to change to a third-person view... Okay, that guy... You guys saw that, right? He just appeared completely out of nowhere. Okay, brake. Slow down. Okay, we're good. Let's pretend like that didn't happen. If you try to go into a third-person view, the resolution will shrink from its usual, like, 320 by 200 to probably about, like, 120 by 80 or something like that. Something really tiny. And the game is basically unplayable, so that's why I'm playing in the cockpit view. And also so you can see these great dashboard designs. There's another car there. Finished! Oh, and he exploded into polygons. Alright, now this is the Big Daddy, Arkansas Route 7. So far, all of these courses have been pretty short, right? Arkansas Route 7 is like 21 miles long. And if you don't really have a conception of how far that is, you're about to. 21 miles in this game is a long way. And this takes up like the majority of the speedrun, is completing this one track, this Arkansas track. So of course I'm going to take the Mercedes C11 because it's the fastest car. It's basically a Le Mans prototype that we're driving on a public road right now. No problem. And, okay, I'm not even sure what happened there. This game also has a lot of really weird mechanics. You're allowed to change the difficulty, which basically just affects how realistic the oh, that's a truck. It basically just affects how realistic the physics is, I guess. But after a certain point, it becomes almost impossible to drive. Let's pass these camels at about 150 miles an hour. So now we are off the road. You'll see on the map there's that little gray line, the gray pixelated line. And that's supposed to be like where they're doing roadworks or something like that. You can drive on this, but you go a little bit slower because the road is supposed to be bumpy. Still, a little slower doesn't count for much when you're going 187 miles an hour over an unimproved road. You do have to be careful because, like I said, all these roads are just pretty much flat polygons. So the seams can send you completely flying. Like, well, okay, that time I crashed, but... Oh, that's really bad. Okay, so here you guys, you know the camels. So we're back here. The reason why I shouldn't have reset there is because you're not actually going through any checkpoints when you're driving along this shortcut. And that's going to have a funny result, which you'll see when we get to the end of this shortcut. But even though I had to reset that, it still saves a huge amount of time. You can see how much longer the black line is. And so you might be thinking, oh, you're almost at the end of the track when you finish this shortcut. Wow, that wasn't as long as I expected. Well, that's because this road, is split up into 3 parts. So it's like 3 7-mile segments just for this one track. keeping in mind that every other track in the game takes about a minute to complete, and this one takes about 15. Well, it doesn't have to take that much, but it can. So you're about to see something funny when we reach the end of this checkpoint. I'm supposed to have been passing through all the checkpoints on the black tarmac, rather than this unimproved road. I mean, they included this on the map, so it should be a legit, you know, path that you can take, right? Nope, 1,524 second penalty. So if this was an in-game time run, this would not be an option. But it's RTA, so I will take the 20-minute penalty. 20-plus minute penalty for skipping all of those checkpoints. I have no idea how it calculates how much time your penalty should be, but there you go. So that's the end of part 1, pretty much. My total time was apparently 28 minutes and 56 seconds, and I have to be very careful to hit enter to go to the next part and not escape to quit out, because, well, if you quit out, you have to do pretty much the entire thing over again. There's no way to just skip to the second part. This game, though, in the context of other 3D DOS racing games, was probably one of the most technically impressive. But, if you compare it to something like VET, it didn't really have, like, an immersive environment. Like, all of the cars that you see on the side of the road, like the truck and the cars that are going the other way, those are all pre-scripted. They're all pretty much gonna be there every single time, so... And there's not much of a racing experience here. Like I said, this is pretty much just designed to be a driving simulator, where you drive expensive cars and maybe get a sense of what it would be like. And also, it goes really, really into the car and driver thing. If you mouse through the selection screens for each of the cars, there's, like, pages and pages of technical specs. Luckily, this game didn't copy VET in some of its other aspects, like having crazy copy protection, where you had to dig out the, like, 100-page manual and flip to page 48 and enter the cubic centimeter displacement of the Lamborghini Countach before they would let you continue the game. But that's neither here nor there. You'll see on the side of the road, whoops, we spun out a little bit, there are actually other gray strips where you can drive off onto the side. I'm not sure what the point of those are. They don't really go anywhere, but they're there at least. Yeah, definitely, this is a total dad game. This is like, you know, Dad, I'm trying to play Quake 2. It's like, sorry, son, I'm playing a car and driver. Maybe when you own a PC, you can play your games when you want as well. And seeing as this game was not very widely released, I can't imagine many of the younger crowd bought it. Much like Car and Driver's own subscription base, as it were. And, if you guys recognize that steering wheel as the steering wheel from EnviroBear, first of all, you have a very strange taste in game, and second of all, you'd be right, because a lot of these assets are reused from other 8-bit and 16-bit driving games, including this steering wheel and pretty much all of the interiors that are just copy-pasted from somewhere else. There we go, we had one penalty. I'm not sure what that even means. One thing about this game, though, oh, there's a plane flying over us, apparently. Despite its terrible draw distance, they do a pretty good job of making the environments look unique. And, the cars do feel different, even though they all have exactly the same sound. I think probably the audio is, like, the weakest part of this game, because, you know, other games around the similar time, such as Stunts. I don't know if any of you know about this game, or Stunts for that matter, but Stunts had pretty good audio. This is just some generic PC speaker stuff. This game also whoa, that was weird. This game also supposedly has radio stations, but I can't get them to work. They just auto-cancel. This game has ever been seen at any online event ever, with the possible exception of if you were to include LGR's review of this game, but he's reviewed every DOS driving game, so there's that. And it's also probably the only DOS game at this marathon. A dubious honor, considering it's also probably one of the worst. But, you know, it is interesting because people like to watch games that they've never seen before, and if you are a fan of these old driving games, I say check it out just for its weird factor alone. You know, even if you're not a fan of the gameplay, and let's be honest, why would you be? Just reading some of this... Oh, I'm not supposed to turn there. Reading some of the strange stuff that's in the Car and Driver articles is bizarre. They clearly were not written by anyone who works at Car and Driver because, you know, those people value their jobs. There's, like, swearing in the ads and in the articles themselves. Some of the stats sheets are, like, top speed, fast. Yeah, thanks for that. In what's supposed to be an official full stats sheet for a car. So, yeah, and the aforementioned EA Speedway and Dobbs Raceway. I mean, you just don't get that with modern games, you know? Alright, finally onto a new track, California Highway 1, the Highway of Perfection. Let's take the Corvette ZR1. Oh yeah, look at those graphics. Yeah, numbers. Alright. And one nice historical feature that they included in this game with the Corvette ZR1, you'll notice the speedo only goes up to 85. And that's very questionable considering the Corvette was capable of going like 150 miles an hour. Well, the reason why the speedo only goes up to 85, even though you can see the digital speed in the corner there, is because back in the late 80s and the early 90s, when, oop, that was weird. Oh, okay, we're facing the ocean, alright, we're cool now. Back when, what's his name, was president, whoever was president at the time, they were instituting a national speed limit of, okay, they had a speed limit of 55 miles an hour. That was their idea. So they figured if they forced all the manufacturers to put in a speedo that didn't go above 85 miles an hour, that teenagers and young guns and punks, they wouldn't want to be speeding because they couldn't tell how fast they were going if they went above 85 miles an hour. So yeah, that's why this Corvette ZR1 has an 85 mile an hour speed limit, or a speedometer, because hey, no one will want to go fast in their car if they can't tell how fast they're going, right? Obviously that didn't work and went away fairly quickly, but you'll still see it in some cars from the 80s and 90s. Again, this is the problem of having straight polygonal roads. You just go flying randomly. You hit a seam wrong and you're just off. Alright. Oops. So now we're on to the last track, the autocross course. And let's take out the Lotus Esprit Turbo. Nice. Oh yeah, Zotan's calling me out on the historical context of a Car and Driver speedrun. I apologize. It's not my place. Oh, we're gonna try not to hit any cones here. So this track is a little bit different from all the others. You gotta avoid the cones and, you know, try to drive precisely. Good luck doing that with mouse controls in a DOS game that's running at a sturdy 14 frames per second. But luckily, the sprightly handling of the Lotus chassis will do us good here, hopefully. Oh, Okay, we skidded a little bit. 3-second penalty. And time. That is time for the whole run. Sorry, I didn't give a warning. But not like it matters anyway. Yeah, so that's that. I guess we can drive around the San Dimas Mall parking lot. 21-24, that's perfect. That's underestimate. I'm happy with that. So yeah, that's Car and Driver. It's a super weird game. I'm not sure what it's supposed to do, or what kind of audience it was designed for, but it was super fun. Thanks for having me, guys. Shoutouts to Linka for holding it down, filling up our estimate gap. And stay tuned for what's next. Thanks, guys.